Right now, from KTAB News, your local election headquarters, this is Big Country Politics.
Thanks for being here for Big Country Politics. I'm Marley Capper. Today we're starting our show a little bit differently. We're getting right into our interview with Abilene Mayor Anthony Williams. Well, let's go ahead and start with what's on the top of our minds. COVID-19 is vastly changing in our city. What can you give us some insight about COVID?
Well, I'll try. You know, it's a moving target, and 18 months in, what I realize about COVID-19 is that nobody really knows. So a lot of best guess, trying to use data, try to make decisions. In our community a few days ago, 34 of our neighbors were hospitalized. Now, strikingly, 32 of the 34 were individuals that have not received the vaccine. In fact, talking with Brett Hall and CEO Hendrick, 95% of all those who have been hospitalized have not received the vaccine. Statewide, around 95% of recent fatalities are for those who have not been vaccinated. Additionally, in our community, the average age has dropped 10 years. So the average age of those hospitalized is now 55. And this week we had a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, and I believe we have a 24-year-old that's in ICU. Additionally, a young mother under 30 had tested positive, delivered. The baby's okay, but she is fighting for her life and has been flown to Baylor as we speak. And so we're trying to have a conversation. So what does that look like? You know, how do we proceed? You know, we know that Taylor County is less than 40% fully vaccinated, 10% below the state and below the nation. And I don't want to create a situation where it's a war between those who are vaccinated, those who are not vaccinated. So I've never been one to have a conversation about a mandate, but I would encourage, if there's not a conflict with you, religious or otherwise, to get a shot in the arm. The stats say if you do, you'll be better off. And again, the purpose of the vaccine early on was to first to prevent or reduce the possibility of being infected, but more importantly, to prevent those who are getting seriously ill or hospitalized.
Right. A conversation that was had with Public Health Director Annette Lerma was we can't really wait or afford to get to that 15% threshold. We're around 4 or 5% now, and we're already seeing full ICUs. We're already seeing impacted hospitals. Do you think that this is going to be a potential mask mandate for the city? I mean, the CDC is currently recommending that everyone, even if you're vaccinated, to wear masks indoors. What can you project for the future of Abilene?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball,
right,
and so I can't, but I'll say this. There has been no conversation at the council level or the city administration level in requiring a mandate for masks in Abilene. There's also not been any sort of communication with the governor's office about his desire to impose that throughout the state. Having said that, COVID-19 keeps changing. You know, this year today marks 1 year when I was a COVID-19 victim, and I lost 30 pounds in about 6 weeks. Wow. I've since found those 30 pounds. I mean, but I mean, it is challenging, and so there's no immediate plans. I talked with Superintendent David Young a few days ago. I don't think they're having a conversation about mandating masks for children. Certainly, anybody that wants to wear a mask, they should be encouraged to wear a mask, but I don't think locally there is any sort of traction for a mandate, at least not at this time.
Definitely. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think that we could ever see another shelter in place? I guess it just depends on how rampant the Delta variant is.
And I certainly hope not. You know, Texas trails only California in business closures in regards to the COVID-19 period. I talked to several individuals here in our community that lost their business during COVID-19. We had employment that was at 10% June of last year. Certainly, we want to be mindful and be safe and be prudent, but we also don't want the cure to be worse than the disease.
Right. And I know at City Council, you guys have at least discussed some sort of vaccine incentive program for employees. I know nothing is set in stone now, but do you mind kind of giving us insight on how that program really impacts, maybe herd immunity or adding to the vaccine numbers for the community?
Well, I think this was, a suggestion, recommendation from the city manager looking at his staff. Again, he supervises 1,200 employees for looking for an opportunity to mitigate infection and work lost. And so that is still an ongoing conversation. I could see something coming to be and putting in place. But again, in this novel virus, nobody really knows. And I think everyone is trying to make the best decision. The challenge is you can only make decisions based on the recent data, and that data keeps evolving.
Right. Is the city planning on, upping the reporting? I know we took our frontline healthcare workers off of reporting on the weekends. What changes, if any, do you think we can see as this progresses? Is it kind of play it by ear?
Well, I think really in the next few weeks in regards to infections, hospitalizations, I think that will drive some things that we will do. We certainly want to provide an opportunity where we are giving information to citizens so they can make decisions about their health. Because in the end, you and I and our citizens are responsible for their own health. And so part of our effort is to provide as much information as we can to allow them to make good decisions.
Definitely. So moving forward, I think y'all are encouraging people to get the vaccine, but really it's education. I know in the previous city council conversations, most councilmen and even City Manager Robert Hanna says they weren't necessarily for a vaccine mandate in the city or for city employees.
At the local level, I have heard no conversation in our school districts, at the county level, and certainly not at the city for a mandate. Personally, what I've just tried to communicate is let's use what the science says works. And the data says now that if you are inoculated, you are better in regards to combating COVID-19.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Williams. When we come back here on Big Country Politics, we'll continue our conversation about the city's budget.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
Thanks for staying with us. Earlier this past week, City Council underwent budget hearings. Go ahead and talk to citizens who aren't aware. What are the budget hearings for, and what is the end goal?
Well, the end goal is this, and so we have two very important workshops every year. We have a workshop that kind of sets the table, if you will, during the latter part of January, early February, where we, the council, give instructions to city manager and staff what we would like to see. The months following, staff works to try to put together a budget that responds to those expectations. And so this workshop that we just completed this past week was the budget workshop that allowed us to provide a validation to what directions we have given staff or any modifications that we wanted to embed for the final budget. Will be a hearing that will occur at the first meeting in August, and then this budget will be in effect on October 1st.
Definitely. So I know there was some conversation about setting a tax rate, agreeing on a tax rate. Currently, ours is 0.7877. I know that there was some conversation about maybe keeping it there. What made y'all want to move it to the 0.7851? Well,
so there is a tax rate reduction. There's not a tax reduction because appreciations have occurred in which represents around $900,000 in increased taxes. But the idea or the hope is to continue to do the good work of encouraging the private sector to invest in Abilene, adding more to the tax roll that relieve the burden of the rest of us. And so good direction when you have a tax rate decrease, and love for an opportunity for additional investment in our community that will allow us to continue that trend. Great Lakes Cheese, you look at their CapEx at $184 million. To put that in perspective, every year we've averaged in the last 5 around $200 million added to the tax roll in new values. Well, Great Lakes Cheese is an example of that by themselves in 1 year. If we have more opportunities to add that sort of private sector investment, it's good for Abilene because it allows us still to be able to do the work of the city, but allow or reduce the burden for citizens.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and talk about the street maintenance, or I should say the water maintenance fee first. That has been a large chunk of the dollar. If we looked at that dollar sheet that City Manager Hannah broke up, go ahead and walk us through the importance of that.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and I've said this publicly, and I think staff has admitted this also, is in regards to our streets, and I'll segue to the water maintenance. But the streets, we just neglected. We didn't invest money into our streets like we should have, and we are paying for streets now in ways we should have done years ago. Well, the community gave us grace, and we made a commitment to take care of our streets, and we have taken care of our streets. You look at a 5-year clip, this is year 3, I believe, or begin year 3, where there will be an investment of about $185 million in streets. Well, we don't want to do the same thing we did with water infrastructure we did for streets. That is neglected. Right. So this really is having a deep dive in addressing water maintenance infrastructure right now, and doing so without getting a bonded debt by having a fee. One thing about a fee, there are a planned fee structure, but fees any time can be modified, and so we're able to stretch that dollar longer than we could otherwise.
Definitely. So I think something that we had talked about in that March budget retreat, right, was this idea of our generators for our water systems. We looked at that statistic in Houston of the 5 generators that they have during the February freeze, the snow apocalypse, they still had generators that failed, and that was kind of off the table for us. But recently, that's kind of been added to the discussion. Do you mind touching on why that's coming back to the surface?
Well, during the snow beginning, many of us, including myself, had to do some indoor camping for a day and a half for my family. And one thing we talked about is, what is the appropriate thing to do? What does that look like? So initially, a conversation occurred for a solution that would cost about $25 million. That's kind of an old school generation of all the power plants and the associating parts to the water system that allow it to be operable during the sub-zero time period that we experience. Now, to be fair, if you look at the last 50 years, we've been reliable over 99% of the time. So I was never in favor of investing that much, like $25 million in that. But on the table as we speak is about a $10.4 million investment that would secure generation for the Northeast Water Power Plant. Capability, they can produce around 23 million gallons a day. Our average around 22 all year round. In the winter months, a little less than that. And so that's the conversation. Be some more study in that regard, and we'll know more about that this fall. There's also a requirement that will have to be codified by TCQ that looks at protection of our water plant systems throughout the state, and so that will also have an effect on what we may do going forward.
Definitely. We also take a look at micro substations. That wasn't necessarily in the topic before, but is this all just preventative measures moving forward to make sure we don't have another snowmageddon?
Well, it's all insurance, and like your own insurance, you hope you don't have to use it. But if you do, you'll be sure it's there. And so this is a conversation about ensuring water reliability in our community.
Thank you. Thank you much, Mr. Williams. We'll go ahead and when we come back, we'll talk about the budget continued.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
We're continuing our conversation with the Abilene Mayor, Mayor Williams. Go ahead and start by talking about one thing from the budget that we wanted to focus on was a police apparatus fund. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what that is and dive into it?
So years ago, in fact, maybe a decade ago, we established a fire apparatus fund. That money was set aside that will allow us to replace an engine using monies collected in that fund instead of getting debt for that fire engine. Has saved the city significant amount of money during that 10-year term. The conversation now has turned to how do we fund the need necessities for police, radios, and other technology that's needed. In the past, what we've done is either negotiate an opportunity to finance it through the vendor or go out and get traditional debt. And we think that it's prudent to have an opportunity that we have money set aside, that we don't have to rely on receiving debt and at additional cost to the taxpayer. And so we have some surplus in the MIP, the Minor Improvement Plan, and so we seeded that this year, or is proposed to be seeded this year in next year's budget, and then in years to come, we'll have money set aside that will allow that to continue.
Definitely. I think it was about $1.1 million. And why don't you go ahead and tell us, we have the fire apparatus fund. We've had that for quite a while, about 10 years. Can you maybe talk about how much that's accrued over the years and why it's so beneficial to do this really for our police department?
Well, it's very important. So with the fire, what we would do traditionally, we would use the capital improvement program to take money away to buy an engine when we need an engine.
Right.
And what would occur, there may be some other needs that we needed for those funds and we could not use them because they weren't there. And so this is more forward thinking. You really have a long time planning just for that. And so this money will only be used for that. And so our radios, our vests, all the things that are needed for those who protect and serve us will be set aside in that fund and collected annually.
A topic of conversation that kind of keeps repeating itself is the need for a whole nother fire station. Would these apparatus funds be able to potentially fund those, or are we still looking at other ways to fund an entire station?
Well, there'll be other ways to fund an additional station. You know, we've grown to the south. It continues on that trajectory, and we want to be able to maintain ISO, which is a rating that's given to this community that is reflective on your insurance premiums, that communicates our ability to put out a fire if one occurs. And so because of the growth south of Abilene, we want to be sure that we're able to continue to address that and to be sure that those citizens who live south of Abilene are safe.
Definitely. I know Chief Flores is hoping to get that soon. Do you have a timeline of when we could see another station in town?
Well, I think if it is the will of this community that is appropriate to set aside for a bond and have a bond and allow our citizens to go to the ballot box and say yay or nay in that regards to establish an additional station in Abilene.
Definitely. Another conversation at hand from the budget meetings was potentially giving raises for non-civil servants. Do you mind addressing why that was kind of at the heart of City Council?
So our budget begins in October, and police and fire, through the meet and confer process, have their raises set to go in October. Everyone else, so non-civil servant employees, raises will begin in January. Well, there's conversation about that, and in the proposed budget, it's been amended to address that to allow every city employee to receive a raise in October.
Definitely. Another thing we've seen from this budget is we've gotten a lot of sales tax, more than we expected. I know City Manager Robert Hanna had mentioned it's potentially from the stimulus checks people are spending, but we're having a lot of tourism. Do you mind kind of touching on the sales tax right now that we're receiving in the city?
Well, I mean, sales tax has outperformed plan. You know, on the onset of COVID-19, we planned for the worst case scenario, made significant reductions in trying to anticipate what we thought could occur during COVID-19. well, what has occurred, sales tax revenue has outperformed plan. And so money has been set aside and hence an opportunity to reduce the tax rate and also have more money set aside. That's allowing us to establish the police apparatus fund, allowing us to address other issues too. And so I'm hopeful of continued prosperity and taxes being spent in our community. Glad to see just the rebound in tourism. You know, Abilene is a regional hub for tourism. And so if you look at our zoo and other, like the Expo Center and other opportunities, people have come to Abilene. And so we want to continue that trajectory, even though we still contend with COVID-19.
Awesome. Is there anything else from the budget that really is kind of stands out to you that you think citizens need to understand about how to form a budget for a city?
Well, you know, it's a very complex conversation, and what I want to say, encourage people that when you have input for the budget, your money being spent, that the process does not begin in July, that your conversation with your council and city administration should begin in September and continue the process. And the workshop that we have in late January and early February is perhaps the most important workshop. It sets the table. Right. It gives directives from the council to the city manager and his staff, and what the budget workshop is reflection on what they have heard. And so I would encourage early communication in regard to expectations from our citizens.
Awesome. We talked about largely this idea of the entertainment task force. Moving forward, the task force has decided that they are going to go through with it. They're just looking at the possibilities and working out all the details. Do you have any final comments as far as an entertainment district?
I'm so appreciative of those citizens who have volunteered their time to give thought to this conversation about how we could provide additional opportunity for money to be spent and family to spend in downtown Abilene. So I'm anxious to see the final report and allow the council to have conversation and put things in place that will continue to Abilene to grow and progress and be able to meet the needs of changing demographic.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Williams, for being here today. That's going to go ahead and do it for our conversation. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
All right, Mayor Williams, any last final thoughts for our viewers?
Well, thanks for the invitation. Always enjoy being here, and I love serving this community. I feel good about our council and administration, and I want to know what our citizens think to allow us continue to meet expectations.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That does it for this week's edition of Big Country Politics. For the latest political headlines, always go to bigcountryhomepage.com. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Thanks for watching.